Are buildings like these in Williamsburg the reason for rents going sky high here in New York City? What do you think?
No, they're not. So this part of Williamsburg was undeveloped prior to more than a decade ago. There was low-slung warehouses, there was a couple of residences, but not many. So you're seeing hundreds of new units just in this one development. You're seeing thousands more on the Greenpoint waterfront across the city of Manhattan. These new towers, on the whole, are providing housing where it previously didn't exist before. The question might arise then, there's so many wealthy new people who are moving into the neighborhood, surely that's going to make my rent move up, because the more wealthy people move in, the more wealthy people move in, and so on and so on. Empirically, what other researchers have found is that when a building like this gets constructed, it actually leads to a lowering of rents in the neighborhood. Why is that the case? That doesn't seem to make sense. It's because there's less competition for housing, there's more places for all. So when a wealthy couple or an individual moves into one of these homes, they actually free up a unit of housing lower down the migration chain. So if you have a 4-story walk-up that might be a little bit older, not necessarily renovated, that wealthy couple moves into here, they free up an apartment for somebody else who makes a little bit less money. So by building towers like this, it might seem like the neighborhood's getting more expensive, but there actually, empirically, is more housing optionality for all.
How has Williamsburg changed in the past 15 years or so?
Williamsburg has absolutely changed. So there's no doubt that towers like this are just the most visible representation of that change. My family historically grew up here. It was a very different neighborhood 80 years ago than it is today. And in many respects, that's good. This was a very industrial waterfront. It was polluted, it was chaotic, it was not the greatest place to live. And over the last century, it's changed. It's had its ups and it's had its downs. Over the last 20 years, there's been a renaissance between Williamsburg and Greenpoint. And what that's done is it's provided places for people to live, close proximity to Manhattan. There's been more grocery stores, there's been more music venues, there's been more restaurants, the sorts of things that people love to go and experience in cities, and especially in New York City. So neighborhoods are always going to change, but our job as developers and as urban planners is to make sure that we can change them in ways that broadly benefit the people of the city, with new parks, with new amenities, and with more places to live. But if you look anywhere in New York City, this used to be farmland, and then it was 2-story buildings, and then 5-story buildings, and so on and so on. And so we have this sense that at whatever point we were kids, or when we moved into an area, that neighborhood should never change. That is actually ahistoric for how the process of city development occurs worldwide. We have to allow some level of change, else there are going to be people who get displaced and who get pushed away from the many great opportunities that we have here.
Do you think that these neighborhoods in New York City that used to be industrial and now lay abandoned should be densified with buildings like these? Stay curious, my friends.